Charles Kent, and you've tuned into another edition of A Word Fitly Spoken. Yesterday, I introduced the seven eternal words of Jesus. This does not mean that he only had seven words that are to be perceived as eternal. I just thought it was interesting how we, at this resurrection time of the year, talk about the seven last words. But here we find some declarations, some things that Jesus has to announce, some things that he needed to get clear as to who he was. And I find it challenging to go over these things, not just to go over them, but why? Why must you say this? Why was it such a need for this lesson to be taught? And we're going to look at some of this and see, because I want to understand why you got to say that. Jesus, what took place? What's happening that you had to say, I am the bread of life? Yeah, I get it that Moses gave us manna. We looked at it, we begged God for it, and it came down from heaven, and so be it. But what took place after that is that Jesus says, I'm not like that. Moses gave you bread, but it wasn't what I was trying to give you. I was trying to give you me. I was trying to allow you to see the importance of this bread that came down from heaven. Bread of life, John chapter number 6, verses 35 and 51. Today I want to talk about the light of the world. And in John 8, we're familiar with this passage of scripture, St. John chapter number 8. Early in the morning, verse number 2, early in the morning, he came again into the temple, and all the people came unto him. And he sat down and he taught them. I don't know if you've been to some of these early morning services. Um, I've been to them. I've been to early morning prayer, and it just makes a difference. You know, a great while before day. It's a fascinating thing. If you dare to seek God early, you'll find him. And so it says that he entered into the he and early in the morning he entered into the temple. Jesus is found in the temple early in the morning. He comes walking on water a great while before day. Things take place when we decide that we're going to turn aside our creature comforts and start seeking God early. It's called the fourth watch. Do some homework on that, because it's a beautiful thing that takes place. I remember when I was in the Marine Corps and I was stationed in Southeast Asia, and I stood a whole watch. It was when two of us was in this hole, and we watched out for the enemy while the rest of the platoon, the company, slept. We had to be vigilant, and we had to keep our eyes open. And I was scared. Everybody knew I was scared. I shot first and asked questions later. There was code names and all such as this that was given. And of course, my watch, my time to spend at watching out for others was from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. The worst time of the day for humans to be awake. This is also the number one time where demonic activity takes place. And so I had to be bright eyed, and I had to be alert. And so before I heard about the fourth watch, I was experiencing that. I was doing that in the military when I was 18 years old, 19 years old. So I'm not going to tell you about that story. You have to ask me about the end of that experience, that whole watch. Jesus is now early in the morning teaching. And the Pharisees and the Sadducees, they show up. Just because you do a good thing or you have the mind to do a great thing, you're fresh and you're alert and you're ready to teach, it does not mean you're not going to get any naysayers. So verse number 3 says, and the scribes and the Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, they say unto him, Master, they trying to trap Jesus. What did you say about this? Because Moses says in the law that she is to be stoned. What say ye? And they're trying to trap him. Uh, this is so the arrogance, the attitude, the ignorance, in my opinion, uh, of these people that trying to trip Jesus up. And they said unto him, tempting. But Jesus stooped down and with his finger wrote in the ground as though he had heard them not. He stoops down. One of my translators and commentaries says that he turned his back on the accusers and he wrote something in the sand. Um, then he turned around and he said, he that is without sin among you, let him be the first to cast the stone at her. And he stooped down again and he wrote. Whatever he wrote, it brought conviction. Don't be an accuser. Don't bring someone to Jesus to trap Jesus and to get somebody else corrected. Don't do that, because Jesus will turn his back on the accuser, and I mean on the person that has sinned, and deal with you. I'm gonna say you because he ain't gonna do that to me. You got to walk in a gentleness. You got to walk in an understanding that uh, you are not all of that. And if it had not been for the grace of God, we would all be in trouble. So verse 9 says, and they which heard it. He was writing. What did they hear? Heard something that came up that convicted them. It says right there, verse number 9 of John 8, and they which heard it, being convicted by their own conscience, went out one by one. They just left. Whatever Jesus wrote in the sand convicted the accusers, shut them down. Oh, Jesus. I wonder today, are we still accusing people? I didn't say that they were right or wrong. I'm just asking, are you an accuser? Or are you always fault finding? Let me continue, because I looked at verse number 12 where he says, I am the light of the world. And I'm wanting to know why you got to say that. Why is it that you got to talk about that? Why did you have to say that, Jesus? Why do we need to know that? Well, verse 10 of this discourse says, when Jesus had lifted up himself and saw none but the woman, he said unto her, woman, where are those folks that were accusing you? Hath no man condemned thee? Where are they? Jesus knows exactly where they are, but he wants her to agree with him. He wants you and I, when we have been accused, when we have even been wrong, he wants us to recognize that it's time out for this fault finding. It's time out. It's time out for it. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing. That's what Mama said. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, and I don't know how we're going to get that across to people, particularly in this day in which we live. It just seems like sarcasm and cynicism and negativity is on the rampage. I wonder how Jesus feels about it today when we are accusing one another. Look at what he says. Jesus says in John 8 and 11, she said, rather, no man, Lord. Lord, she says, no man, Lord. And Jesus said to her, neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. He did not negate or not just dismiss the fact that she had sinned. He recognizes that. But I'm trying to figure out, when did Jesus become her Lord? What transpired that all of a sudden she says, Lord? Oh my goodness. He said, go and sin no more. Then spake Jesus again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. From this conversation that we've had with this woman, from this dialogue that we've had to deal with, from dealing with people that have sinned, obviously they had sinned, and their accusers having made recognized by the handwriting of Jesus that they have no grounds to accusing people. Just that's what I read. Then he says, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. Oh my goodness. He that followeth me, he that taketh up a mindset that I'm just going to follow Jesus. I don't know who prayed. I know that the Sadducees and the scribes and Pharisees had it out for Jesus, but somebody prayed for this woman that was in sin, that she might get an audience with Jesus. Just didn't plan on them accusers being the one. So I want to know where you're at with this. What side of the fence are you on? The light. He says, I am the light, living in God's help today. That's the light. That's what we need. Living in God's help today. In the midst of this world that we live in the midst of the sarcasm, the bad mouthing, the disrespect for authority, in the midst of all of that, Jesus says, I'm the light in this cosmos, in these systems of the world. I am the light. No matter where you are, no matter what you're dealing with, understand that the way out is to live in God's help today, and you'll have light. And the light, there's only one word, one letter rather, different from that word world and word. But such a vast difference in what the world is saying and what the word is saying. Jesus says, I am the light of the world. And if you follow me, you won't be in darkness. I told you what darkness is. I did tell you what darkness is. Darkness is demonic activity, rarely known, necessary to erode serious success. Darkness, demonic activity, rarely known, necessary to eat away or to erode serious success. I'm just in the dark on this. I'm just in the dark. Jesus says, I am the light. Somebody born blind in chapter 9, and they want to know who sinned, who did wrong that this young man's born blind. Because in verse number 5 of John 9, as long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. He says it again. I am the light of the world. Listen, I got to go. I'm Dr. Charles Kent with another Word Fitly Spoken. God bless you.